yeah, I guess if it's something you want to do, find someone who's done it and do it. I wish the only regret I have is that I didn't do it 5, 10 years earlier.
Welcome to Real Stories in Real Estate with your host, Denise Laframboise. Real people sharing real stories about their adventures in real estate.
Hey there, this is Denise Laframboise, your host for Real Stories in Real Estate podcast. And today I have Kevin Harding joining me today. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello.
So
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. So we're going to chat a bit about something crazy you did just before the pandemic that really paid off. Now, we always say you cannot time the market, but sometimes it just magically happens by accident. And in your case, I think that's definitely true. So what did you buy in 2019?
Yes, absolutely. So my wife and I, we are landlords, investors. We own some properties in Durham region. They're duplexes with long-term tenants. But in 2019, we decided to change gears a little bit, and we purchased a short-term rental cottage just outside of Peterborough.
And why change gears? Like, why a cottage instead of just buying more duplexes?
So cottage was always a goal of ours, something to own personally that we could use. But we didn't really know too much about it, but we did some research and we decided to jump in. Another great thing about the cottage short-term rentals are, yes, they do require a lot more time commitment. However, the financial return is a lot greater as well. So for us, we found that we were able to put in that time investment in order to get the higher financial gain. And again, when it's not rented out, well, it's there, and it's this great place that my family and I can go and use ourselves.
Yeah, we did the same thing, and it was years and years of us renting cottages, and every time I would rent one, I'd be like, I need one of these. Like, we would be looking at MLS, we're looking at the neighbors, we're like, what's for sale in the area? Do we like this area? Like, the FOMO is a real thing when you rent something and you go and you like love it there. And then the other piece for us, so we also have tenants, like very similar, right? We have rental properties, and the real appeal for me. So yes, I have tons of clients who do short-term rentals, and I look at their T1 generals and I see how much they're making, right? So you can make a lot of money, but also the idea that those tenants show up for a week and plan to leave. If you've ever been to a landlord tenant board or had to evict a tenant, it's super not fun. So the appeal of having a rental property that was very unlikely for me to ever have to do that was really desirable, because it was like, these people are planning to leave. You're not stuck with the professional tenants for years and years, the same way that we see some people get caught up in regular residential rentals.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. And another piece of information I like to add to that I really like too is with our long-term rentals. We've had some tenants in there who are great renters and they've been there for several years. However, we can only raise the rent maybe 1 or 2% a year by law. So we've got people in some of our units who are paying hundreds of dollars a month below market rent, and we just legally can't raise it. Whereas if there's a huge uptick in the short-term rental market, well, then, yeah, if the price is triple, well, then you can charge triple, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's another really, really good bonus.
Yeah, you just change the price because it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or a holiday weekend. Like it's very cool that you can just kind of do what you want as you go. So you bought this cottage in 2019, and then what happened? So what are some good things that happened from this purchase?
So yeah, in 2019, we bought it. We did some work on it and, painted it, fixed up really nice. We bought really nice furniture. I think one thing that really brought a lot of value is we actually did professional photography on it, just like in a real estate listing. And yeah, we just got it up on the market and we started renting it out. So this was kind of like fall of 2019. So we were just trying to carry it over the winter and getting ready for the busy summer season of 2020. So we had some rentals here and there over the winter, and then March 2020, COVID happened, and everything kind of stopped and people couldn't travel. And so by the time we got to spring, summer of 2020, there was just such a huge demand for our product. So we got really lucky, and we were just sold out, for pretty much the whole year.
Yeah, it's amazing. Any things that you learned along the way, or maybe like how did you even, like, when you were picking out a cottage, like how did you pick out something? Was there specific things you were looking for?
Not really. I was really focused on the price. And so we were looking at a lot of cottages just all over, like a 2-hour radius of where we live. And nothing in my price range was really speaking to us. So we did see this one cottage, and it was significantly more money. But then we sat back and looked at it, and we said, we compared it to the lower priced cottages. And if we were to upgrade them to this one, we'd be in for a lot more money. So it just seemed like a good buy. And we bought this place, which was essentially a year-round home, and it was move-in ready. Yes, it was more money, but again, it's a better building, and it brings in really good rents. So it really worked out.
Yeah, something that we were looking at, which I think your cottage is too, is we wanted it to be 4-season, and we wanted there to be stuff to do. Like, I don't, it's nice to rent it in the winter, and it can be really cute, and you can sit around a fire, but only for so long. Like, we wanted something else to be able to do, a ski hill close by, so we had this whole weird map, exactly like you, 2 hours from downtown Toronto was where we're willing to go. And then like this area, that we could actually essentially plan for better rents over the winter as well.
Yes, absolutely. So you need to know your strengths, and I think every cottage is probably close to something, and you need to communicate that to your prospective renters. So like us, for example, we're a 10-minute drive to 3 towns and like a 12-minute drive to Peterborough. So we've got little packages, and we tell people where all the local spots are, the grocery store, the little hidden gems. We're also right next to a conservation area, which is just beautiful. And there's hiking trails and snowmobiling and all of that stuff. So you need to know what you have around you, and you need to communicate that to your renters. And also, yeah, what are you providing? Do you provide toiletries? Do you provide linens, firewood, water toys? Do you have a hot tub? Do you have a sauna? What other amenities? These are all things also that will factor into getting, higher caliber renters and a higher rent.
I love that. All I hear from you is you're treating this like a business. This is a real business. Like what are the inputs we need to get the output we want, right? And I think, we all run the risk of being emotionally attached to things, right? You work hard on something, you buy it, you put your sweat and tears into it. In the cottage case, maybe you go for a weekend and you're like, oh my gosh, I love it here so much. But overall, you have to treat it like a business, because that's what it is, right?
Yes, totally. And we learned that early on. We look at it more. So for the other properties, we're landlords. For this property, we are a hospitality business owner. And we do get caught sometimes. In the first few years, I was all business, and my wife, I thought, would be a little emotionally attached sometimes, and I would explain to her. But now we've kind of reversed, and now she's all about the business side. And sometimes I'll go up there and I'll notice that maybe I'll notice a plate was broken, or somebody put something back in a spot where it doesn't go. And I'll find myself getting a little bit upset and annoyed, and because I'm getting really emotionally attached to this place because I love it. So I have to take a step back sometimes, or my wife, and say, hey, this is a business. We're a hospitality business, and things are going to happen. And then at the end of the day, I realize, well, it's not a big deal.
What about other things you learned along the way? So one of the things we were chatting about was insurance, which was a big learning curve for us as well.
Yes. So we were working with an insurance broker, and for most properties, it's like 150 a month for insurance, for example. And the broker was shopping around, and they found all these different companies that would insure us, but they were saying, well, you're only allowed to rent it for 150 days a year in total. And we said, well, no, we want to rent it as much as we want. So we did find this only one company that said, feel free, rent it out as much as you want. However, it's very expensive. It's more than double the insurance on our other rental properties.
Yeah, so we found four actually. So if you want more choice, I have four, but they all have different requirements. So some of them you needed to rent through like a third party, like an Airbnb or vacation rental by owner, because they needed that third party validation that it was actually rented. They all had different amounts of liability and different requirements. And so it was really like onerous compared to like my other properties. I'm like, can you get me insurance? And it's like, here's your insurance. And it's reasonably priced. There was such a like array of differences between what you wanted to do, yeah, how many days you wanted to rent, how like who you wanted to rent to and what type of coverage you had that determined like the price. But yeah, a lot higher because there's more risk. There's more people going in and out of a property, right? There's more time with it unattended that something could happen and nobody is there. So the insurance piece is for sure like something that people don't realize. In our case, we actually we thought we could do something with our insurance and we couldn't. Know that your insurance policies or your insurance companies can also see things online, and if they see something they don't like, they can send you a letter. Like in our case, that said, by the way, you have a month to get new insurance. This is no longer valid. So really making sure that you read your policies and that you understand what you can and you can't do is really important. On the mortgage side too, right? There's a lot of lenders who do not like high risk short-term rental. So, and knowing that potentially if there's an issue, they may find out about that, like knowing how you want to strategically structure this to make sure that you have lending opportunities that are conducive to being allowing this type of rental is really important as well. We do have lenders. Obviously, we have a property. I didn't buy it for cash. We have lender on that, but there are different options depending on what you're doing with it, how often you're renting it, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a completely different animal, and that's why it's good to have your real estate professional, your mortgage professional, and your insurance professionals, because it's not like just any other property.
And even just like there's a lot to learn. Like I know you said you had like mentors that helped you, right?
Yes, like I said, for years we wanted to do this. We always wanted a cottage. No one in our family has one. But we had that fear that we didn't know what we were doing because we don't know what we don't know. And we got really lucky. We met this couple who they actually owned more than one cottage rental, and they were just so great. And they broke it down step by step and told us how you do this, how you do that. And it was invaluable, the guidance and education that we got from this couple. So I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about this right now if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, and myself too. So I had a really good mentor who actually rents a lot of cottages for people, and was even like, here's the boxes you need to check for what you need to buy. And the joke was even the property we ended up buying, they had rented for the previous owners. So they gave us a list of all the things to fix so we could get more rent. The list of all the complaints about your cottage. Here's the things you need to do so that people will love it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's fantastic. And I believe that, if there's ever anything I want to do in my life, I find somebody who's already done it and mastered it. And then I talk to them, and now I'm trying to pay it forward. And we've actually had some people come to us and ask us for advice, and we're always happy to help. So if any of your listeners had any questions, you can feel free to pass my information along.
100%. Well, and that's why you're on this podcast, because that's what this is all about, is talking to real people who actually do things with their own futures, right? I always found that the world is full of people that say, you should do this or you should do that. The amount of people that said to me, oh, you should get a rental property. It's passive. It's not. I have rental properties and it's never been passive. But talk to real people about that have been through it and lived through it and learn from their experience, because they will help you, especially when they're doing something they believe in and something that has benefited them. So in your day job, so I think we mentioned it a bit, but you're a realtor. And what area do you primarily work in?
Yes, so I'm a realtor primarily in Durham region, just to the east of Toronto.
And do you find, because you have investment properties and stuff, do you find you work a lot more with investors lately? Is it more first-time buyers? Is it a bit of both?
Yeah, I've been doing it about 15 years, so I've got a pretty broad client database. we definitely do have a lot of investor clients because we do have that experience in that niche. But yeah, also first-time buyers. We've got downsizers. Yeah, we do it all.
And do you find since you've got this cottage that now you're tending to do a bit more cottage stuff as well?
Yep, absolutely. So I do branch out into cottage country. I've got a lot of knowledge, obviously, from spending a lot of time up there. I'm very well versed in things like wells and septics, and some municipalities are starting to implement short-term rental bylaws, licenses, things like that. So I definitely have all of those skills that I can hopefully add value to our clients.
Yeah, and there's so much that people don't know, right? About, what if it's lake water? Well, we have certain lenders for that. Or what if certain municipalities have limits on what kind of structures you can put? So we would look at one place and you can't put a bunkie, but the other place you can. Like just different things that you might want to consider for future. Well, I really appreciate you joining me today. And if people are looking to find you to ask about short-term rentals, about real estate in general, about anything that you can help them with, how do they find you?
So you can find us on our website, strategicrealestategroup.ca. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, Strategic Real Estate Group. You can find me personally under Kevin Harding Realtor.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Any last words of wisdom or anything else you want to share with people?
Yeah, I guess if it's something you want to do, find someone who's done it and do it. I wish the only regret I have is that I didn't do it 5-10 years earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't let people who have never done it themselves talk you out of it.
Yes, 100%.
Right? Because that's what happens. Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This was a Real Stories in Real Estate podcast. You can find this on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, or anywhere else that you consume your podcasts. And thanks so much. See you again soon.